All right. We are live. We had a little bit of a, I don't know, got a weird message here saying I had need to log in, but I am live. I am, just to remind everybody, Michelle, go by Michelle K, Michelle Kreinheater, and I'm a real estate agent with Compass in Long Beach. And I'm doing Go Live Long Beach every Friday at 10:30. And I am just meeting the coolest people to interview. And so we're a little bit early, supposed to start at 10:30. But at Compass, we do a weekly sales meeting, and they always bring in somebody to educate us, which is the beautiful side of being with a company, a larger company. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. So I'm going to bring up your name. I'm going to hide this. And so I have with me today Kimberly Terrell. She's an insurance agent with Farmers, and she came into a meeting a couple weeks ago, and you had some really good information that I thought, you know what, we need to get this out there for people who are home buying and home selling. Um, Kimberly, you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself? I was just asking her about her son playing rugby, which, yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself. Go.
Absolutely. So, I own a local insurance agency in Bixby Knolls. I have been in the business, it's kind of sad to say, but 20 years, and I've had my agency. I
I
started in
know.
my very, very early 20s. I've had my agency for 14 years,
Wow.
and I have been beyond blessed to spend a majority of it working with real estate agents, lenders, and my clients all at some point first time home buyers. So I kind of got into the industry by a total fluke and didn't think I would stay in it long term. And here I am. And I have every intention of staying in it until I decide to retire one day.
Yeah, I think you've done a really good job of networking with agents. This is my first time meeting you, although I've been in the industry, but I just went to it's the Women's Breakfast Club through next door. It's the best club in the world. You
Ooh.
show up and you have breakfast. Lovely. Just like, no board, no nothing. But and I don't know her last name, but Tiffany, another real estate agent, was there. She was like, "Tell Kimberly I said hi." I'm so sorry.
Ah,
Yeah,
Tiffany.
yeah, nice girl, nice girl. So, yeah. So, how did you get the job though? Was it just somebody like was looking for an assistant? Just I was wondering on career paths, like how did you get there? Just out of curiosity.
So my boyfriend, now husband, at the time was in the Coast Guard, and we got stationed in Kodiak, Alaska, which is a tiny island off of the coast of Anchorage. And there were like 5 jobs in the whole island. It was not going to work because of that. And then I ventured out for a whole day. I got my car stuck for about 5 hours in sleet. I didn't have a cell phone there at the time because this was 20 years
20
ago.
years
Not
ago.
everybody had cell phones. I'm totally dating myself. But I got stuck. My boyfriend came home. I said, I have to get a job. Like, I will end up missing. I don't know what's going to happen to me if I venture out on this island. I was a city girl, totally out of place. And
Were you from Southern California
I
originally?
am. I'm from Torrance.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Wow.
Kodiak, Alaska was completely out of my
Wow.
comfort zone. So one of the only jobs available was a receptionist at a state farm agency. So I got the job. I worked my way up to being a licensed sales rep. I came back to California. We got stationed here again a year and a half later. And I started to look for jobs and whether or not to go back to college. And I found out the insurance industry pays really well. So instead of going back to college, I was helping run an agency in Manhattan Beach.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's great. I mean, I think just the brief amount of time I know you, you are on top of your game. You're that person who says, when I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it now, which I think is probably a lot like anybody who's successful in their career. But I think insurance is very timely, right? Like it's a lot of pressure that you have to right get things submitted and know a lot of information and yeah, so congratulations to you. That's
Thank
wonderful
you.
story.
It is too, because I think working with real estate agents and first time home buyers, one of the biggest things I run into is people wait until the last minute just because there's so many wheels moving at the same time with real estate. So when the insurance is needed, it's like needed yesterday.
Yeah,
So we
it's
always
very
kind of have to
typical.
be Yeah, we always have to be one step ahead even before this call. It's like there's things that need to get done and it's was supposed to get done yesterday, and we're getting the information this morning. So always kind of have to be on top of it and
Yeah.
constantly readjusting.
Yeah. I just I tried to find the article about in Florida that all these they has like 68,000 people. The insurers are just like, nope, we're dropping you. And then I ran into Betsy Terrell. She owns A List Escrow, and she said she had a friend who was selling his property in Florida. 30-day escrow. She goes, it went to 60, 90. She's like, what is going on with your buyer? The insurance was going to cost them $9,000. So they backed out and they didn't see that coming. So just to lead into, there's a lot of changes going on everywhere. So if you just want to recap, that information that you gave us at our sales meeting, that would be great. So have at it again.
So it's interesting you bring Florida up. So I do a lot of like research outside of just kind of whatever farmers emails us. And I'm in a Facebook group of agents all over the US. And
Mm,
that actually was brought up multiple times. A lot of carriers are pulling out of Florida. And you would think like hurricanes and stuff like that. But actually, Florida accounts for 70%. It said 70% of the lawsuits in the entire US. So that's auto and home. And so what's wild is it's not really about like
Claims, it's
yeah,
about it.
it's not really about natural disasters
Wow,
as more as it
interesting.
is liability lawsuits, which is kind of
Wow.
crazy because I instantly thought, "Oh, like, it's definitely natural
Oh,
disasters."
yeah, yeah.
It's not, a big article that somebody had submitted in that was saying they account for 70% of all lawsuits when it comes to insurance lawsuits, in the US, which is insane.
Yeah.
We've run into something different here, which is a lot of the wildfires. And so that's definitely impacted any insurance, but specifically homeowners insurance, because it's already not a profitable form of insurance, right? So homeowners insurance is the least profitable. They
Mm,
offer it because they
mm,
want people to bundle their, the umbrella, the auto, the life insurance, the business insurance. And so it's that added bonus, but the insurance companies don't make a ton of money off of it. And then when you have, and I should have looked the number up, but I mean, the amount that insurance companies paid in fires in like 2019 and 2020 and 2021, it's astronomical. And so what we're seeing is a shift where homeowners insurance is starting to increase.
yeah.
But if you live near a brush zone, it is beyond imperative. You get those quotes like sometimes even before you look at a property, because I did one last year that was $8,000 a year for just a fire insurance.
And where was that located? Like
That
Orange
was
County?
actually located in Laguna, which
Laguna.
now they're
Yeah.
having fires right now. And so unfortunately, nobody I've never done one that high before. I want to say at the time, mind you, this was last year, so the home prices hadn't started to skyrocket, but it was under 1 million,
Okay.
and $8,000 a year.
Wow. Wow.
It ended up unfortunately falling out of escrow because I just think it was an anticipated cost nobody like thought about.
Right.
So
Right.
one of the big things I preach is if you're getting a quote right when you open escrow, then you can kind of avoid all that stuff happening at the end and you can kind of maneuver. You have time to shop around and all that fun
Right.
stuff.
Can I talk about the fact that if we have a buyer and that you're writing an offer on a
Mhm.
property that you can, okay, so I was anticipating writing an offer on a house on the coast in Long Beach. And I sent the information you need to know the buyer's name and the address. And you run a report going back 5 years, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So, could you, and I want you to expand on that in a minute, but I guess my question right now is, and you ran that and there were things that we found that they had put in for claims, and I never circled back around because we didn't write the offer. So I didn't push it any further. But could you have quoted a price right then with that information? Or no, it's a little bit more intense than that.
No, I absolutely could have quoted a price right then. So farmers, as well as other companies, have different products. We've kind of evolved into creating more than one homeowner's insurance product. So we used to have one and it had a lot more coverage than a lot of people wanted or needed. And they were always trying to like readjust it. So we created kind of a more simplified product.
Hmm.
So I couldn't have done a quote in what is like our next gen, our old school product because of that claim. But I could have done a quote with our newer product. I just would have had to get proof of remediation showing that the work was done. In that case, when we looked up that claim on that property, we could see there was a payout. So that would have been easier. I shouldn't say easy. It would have been
Be-
easier.
because they probably have all that information.
Right. And it was fairly recent. So they would have gone back to their
Right.
insurance company and said, "Hey, can you give me the final claim stock?" We would have taken that and submitted it. And the reason we do that, and a lot of people aren't aware of this, is because sometimes an insurance company will pay the person directly and then they're going to hire their own contractor. The problem is sometimes they don't. And so there's a $10,000
Ah,
check that's been cashed, and I've run into this where somebody's put like $500 into the house and then they've pocketed that, and there is 100%
ah.
obviously existing water damage that hasn't been repaired properly.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay. All right. So, when you did the sales meeting, you said that this was, a big change, right? That,
Mhm.
um, I think you guys have always gone back 5 years, but how, yeah, explain how this is all changing on your end.
Well, insurance companies just, I think, starting with a lot of the fires, the homes in California are getting older. People are filing
Mhm.
claims for everything. I think what's happening is those are red flags, right? So if there's been a claim filed on a property, regardless of what's been paid out, even if zero's been paid out, that kind of red flags that property. And the insurance companies are trying to see, is there a bigger issue that we're not aware of? And so in some cases, it can be a water leak. It can be 3 water leaks. It's happened 3 times, and that's an indication, obviously, the plumbing's probably going out and it needs to be completely redone. And so they're looking for things like that, roof leaks. Does the roof just need to be replaced? We don't want to take that on and have
Right.
that become
So
our
would
problem.
so would it would be like, no, we don't want to insure. I'm gonna
Mhm.
you yourself, you said it's not gonna be farmers, but you're gonna find somebody. Do you ever go if then you remediate it, then you go back to farmers? How does that play out?
100%.
Yeah.
I love farmers. I've been with them. I've had my agency for 14 years. I worked with them for 3 years. Prior to that, I've had a service background my entire life. All I've done is service. And so, in all honesty, I think there's a handful of companies in the insurance industry where the claims process, and while it's not always 100% that way, I have had to intervene in some claims. For the most part, I know they're going to take care of my clients. I know if there's an issue, I have the ability to back my clients up as well. So if I can
Okay.
always replace that policy back with farmers, I will 100%. The only time I don't ever write it is when they can't, if it qualifies. And we just had somebody redo their roof. And so we're rewriting them back in the second it's done.
So- Okay. All right. Um, Earthquake insurance. Yeah, that's not through that. I don't know.
You're
I have
asking all the good questions.
Oh my gosh, I just paid mine. And that's the thing too. It used to be like, okay, the homeowner's insurance is due, and it wouldn't like bite so bad, but I don't know, maybe it's a testament to my current situation. But gosh, it's really gotten a lot more expensive. And I sort of like waited. I'm like, well, I've been paying that earthquake insurance for 20 years, and now it's almost $1,000. So, and it's not that's a state funded insurance, correct? That's
That
not
is correct.
do you
And
recommend
there's
getting it?
So there's a reason it's state funded too, which a lot of people don't realize. So earthquake insurance used to be like $300 to $500 a year. It was super
Yeah,
cheap.
yeah, it's
But
great.
then Northridge happened, and a lot of those companies couldn't pay out on those claims. I mean, there was major structural damage during Northridge.
Right.
And so a lot of companies couldn't pay out. A lot of those companies went insolvent. They are no longer around anymore. And basically, the state of California kind of mandated and put some hefty rules. So they needed to be able, if they're collecting, they needed to be able to obviously pay out on all the claims, which is why it skyrocketed. So
Okay.
if you have a good amount of equity in your house, let's say there's an earthquake and you don't have earthquake insurance, then it comes down to what are your options. And I've heard a lot of people say, well, the state will just come in. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's how that happens. I mean,
No.
look at Katrina, right? A lot of people in that area, it was like a impoverished area. Like I don't think a lot of those people had flood insurance, and they're still trying to rebuild that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what we would be looking at. I personally have it, but I have a lot of equity in our house because we had a previous house, moved into this house, and dumped all the equity into our down payment, right? And so I'm in a
Right.
different situation. If I
Right.
have structural damage, I don't want to be taking out a second loan and then I'm right back where I started from.
Yeah. Yeah. I see. So if you're starting out, you don't have much equity. Okay. I understand.
And it's kind of if if you don't have a ton of equity, and unfortunately in this market, if you bought a year ago, you have a ton of equity.
Equity.
So
Everybody
you
should.
need it. But like
So
10 years ago, you didn't. You
yeah.
probably wouldn't have any equity, like, if you were upside down like we were for how many years?
I heard like after Northridge, there was a time period where you couldn't even get earthquake insurance. Can everybody get it now? Is it open
Yes.
to everybody? There was a period, right? Where, do I have
Yeah,
that
we
right?
go on, like, they'll hold it if there is an earthquake. So if there's an earthquake in California, usually there's, like, a week period where you cannot purchase earthquake insurance because of
Okay.
aftershocks and all that stuff, and then they'll reopen it again. Same with fires. If there's an active fire in Laguna, you're not gonna be able to purchase any type of insurance in that zip code until it's 100% contained, and so that's usually the only time they'll put a hold on it.
Okay. Okay. Um, Sorry, I just got a text message from a showing. Doing 2 things at
It's
once.
a good one.
Yes, I don't know, she can't get the key out of the, anyway, alright, so I have a client who's thinking of selling her house, and actually I just heard from a mutual friend that she had a leak mold issue, and so she put a claim in, right? So I'm wondering, you know, it was probably pretty extensive. It sounds like they had to do a lot of work in her kitchen. Is there a recommendation where it becomes a certain price? Like, don't use your insurance because if you're selling your house, it may flag it. They may have problems getting insurance. Where are we with that?
Well, I anytime anybody has a claim, I always suggest my clients call me first, especially if the house is going to be on the market. I have a lot of listing agents I have great relationships with, so stuff comes up like that, they'll always call first to see if it's worth it. One, you should never file it if you're not 100% certain it's going to be covered because now
Okay.
there's a red flag and now you have to show proof of the proper remediation, right? So
Right.
it will be harder if zero is paid out to get a policy because now there's no documentation from the insurance company.
Yeah, see, when you talked about that at the meeting, that's like counterintuitive to me. But you didn't pay any money. It should be good.
Yep. And
No.
you know what? What's crazy is it used
Because
to be
because
zero.
they don't think it's been fixed, right?
Well,
Is
I
that
think
why?
over time, so when it was zero, it didn't. So if you like, we don't surcharge you, right? So if you're my client and you file a claim and we don't pay anything out, it doesn't impact your policy.
Okay.
But which is kind of a little counterintuitive as well. But if a new person is coming in and we're unfamiliar, because we don't have all the
Right,
docs on that claim,
right, right,
we just
right,
see
right, right.
water damage, zero paid out.
Okay.
Then the insurance company is trying to think like, okay, and all we get is water damage. It doesn't say the roof was leaking. It doesn't say the water, heater went out and caused damage, like the toilet overflowed. So the zero is a little more concerning. And then
Got it.
two, you have a
Okay.
lot of people that do work that aren't licensed. And then
Mm,
that's where the bigger issue lies.
all right. So that was we're back to almost where I was making that offer. So, okay, you've got money. Just show us that the work was done. And do most people go through insurance company and have them do the work, or do most people do the work themselves?
Most people will go through insurance company and have them do the work. It is easier that way because if other things come up, a good example would be we were using somebody had a claim, they were using the farmers, plumbers that they had sent, and they're not farmers, plumbers, but they're contracted or they have a contract with farmers. And they ended up doing some damage. They ended
Yeah.
up bursting a pipe
Oh my gosh.
and water came up in the kitchen. It destroyed all the brand new tile. And we were on the hook for that because they were we're the ones that recommended them, and so farmers actually ended up paying out way more on the claim. So I absolutely like if it were my house, I would 100% use any of their recommended vendors because technically they potentially are on the hook for any botchy work they do or anything like that.
Okay. Okay. You guys having problems getting vendors? Are you, you know, you have no problems, waits or anything?
No,
Like
I
everybody else
think
trying to get
well, I mean, like, maybe weights, right? But, not necessarily because I think we have a slew. I think what and I think always those vendors will always prioritize
for
a
you
lot of
guys
the
'cause
farmer stuff, right? Just because it's constant. And I do think there's more work more now than ever because people were living in their houses, right? They're using their toilets more, like they're using everything more. And so we definitely have
yeah,
seen an uptick in claims, but yeah, I haven't had any issues where with a client that said like people haven't been able to come out. Home warranty on the other story, like that's been a different because that's all they're doing. So that's definitely been a different where I know there's been a little delay, but I think they've kind of overcome that as well.
okay. You're not home warranty, you're just speaking
No,
from
just
experience.
homeowners insurance.
Okay. I was like, "What do you have to do with home warranty?" Home
But
warranty,
I
we're talking
know so much about all of that stuff because I've worked with real estate agents for
agents.
so
Yeah,
long. Yeah,
yeah.
like I can read an NHD report, which is a little odd, but
No, I was thinking about it because I looked up our new car form, which I have a feeling you know, is the fire hardening and defensible space disclosure. Woo!
mhm.
Right? So what that says is you have to say if you're in a fire zone. I have to be honest, haven't spent too much time educating myself because I mostly sell in Long Beach along the coast where I am not in that area. But I was thinking, oh, that's like a natural hazard disclosure item, right? That's where you would get that information from, correct?
That is actually very correct. A lot of the natural hazard disclosure companies are doing a lot of the seminars. So you would be able to reach out to whoever is helping you on your NHD. But
Okay.
it's basically just
Do you have that?
reviewing.
Does the insurance company have that information as well at your fingertips?
So, yes and no, because those zones, people are always wanting maps, right? What's near it, and because those zones are constantly changing and it's all relative to where the fires are, we don't have a map
Oh, I
or we
see,
won't
yeah.
submit one because if we submit it and then the next year that becomes a brush zone, for next
Right.
month at this point, and so we won't ever submit. NHD though is starting to do maps of high risk. So in your NHD report, if it is in a high risk brush fire zone,
Um,
it would give you a map that would show
right.
where that is. Now it won't say like insurance, like it won't tell you if insurance is required because believe it or not, like there's areas farmers will write homeowners in where we don't require any additional fire insurance and then State Farm might not do that area and then vice
Mhm.
versa. So it's
Okay.
all relevant too to the companies and if they feel the risk is high in those areas or not.
Gotcha, gotcha, yeah. Yeah, Pam Summerfelt of, First American Natural d do you know Pam? You
I
must
do,
have.
I do.
You really are in this real estate world, aren't
I
you?
am, I am.
Yeah. All right, Kimberly, is there anything else you wanna wrap it up with? Anything else you wanna tell people out there about insurance that you feel they should know?
Um, in general, I think if I could give any homeowner any piece of advice, even if you're becoming a new homeowner, it's really to like go through your policy line by line. It takes us usually 15 minutes to do a review with all of our clients. We love doing it because it gives people a really good idea of what is and what's not covered. I
Mm,
think people tend to think it's an all inclusive policy
mm,
and it doesn't cover wear and tear. So if the roof is old and it starts leaking because it's super old, not only are we not going to replace the roof, we won't cover
there
any
were
damage,
damage
right?
from there.
And it's kind of
Mm,
like your car. If you don't maintain it and it blows up on the freeway, they're not going to go back and fix everything that's wrong with it, even if you have a
right,
warranty on it. And
right.
so I
It's
definitely
probably
think
a good idea, like, maybe somebody like me, I've never done that, like, really sat down and had somebody really explain. I really have never done that. That's a good idea.
most people haven't. I think because they just assume it's homeowners
It's
insurance.
good. I'm
Well, your
covered,
house
yeah.
is valued at this and everything else, and what a lot of people don't realize is there are a ton of endorsements you could add if you wanted to. It's not just a simple there's so much that's adjustable, and that's all done on your personal needs. So it's way, way, way different than auto insurance. So my biggest tip always, I do this all the time when I'm doing videos, is review your policy like every other year so you can get an idea of what's covered. And then it'll get you thinking, and then you kind of know what questions to be asking from then on out. So review your
Right. Or I
policy.
think, yeah, and it sounds to me like if you call you, you know what house they have, and you can also ask the right questions too. I would
Absolutely.
assume.
We know all of our clients. I mean, I feel like my clients are kind of an extended family. They've all been referred to me. So it's not like calling a 1-800 number. We are on a first name basis with almost all of our clients, especially if they're calling in regularly. We're very, very familiar with their homes and their children and all that fun stuff.
That's awesome. Well, Kimberly, thank you so much for coming on my Go Live Long Beach show. I learned a lot. I love the show
Ah,
because I
good.
always learn. It's like a little like personal seminar. Okay, check, got that one, got that one done. And yeah, yeah, I'll see you. I guess I'll see you around more.
You will, you will. And thank you for having me. I think like, no, I was talking to somebody earlier this week. I'm like, "I'm doing an interview," and they're like, "Really?" And I was like, "I don't know if I've done any of these." Nobody ever wants to know much about insurance. So I appreciate you having me.
And Kimberly, you're up in, I did spell your name right. I look it up all the time. I always want to put that
You
I,
did.
but yeah, yeah, it's pretty good for me. Not the best speller, but you can find Kimberly. Just Google her, and she's lovely. So if you're looking for a insurance agent, I would recommend you, Kimberly.
Aw, thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, everybody, have a really good long weekend. Take it off, okay?
Bye.